Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Neil Howard, here on Health Professional Radio, and I'm real glad that you could join us for another segment. We're going to be speaking with Dr. Natalie Gomez. She's joining us here from UCB to discuss new interim long-term data from the BBright open-label extension trial. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Dr. Gomez.
Yes, thank you so much for the welcome, and thank you for inviting me to this session.
Well, if you would, give us a brief look into your professional background and talk about your role at UCB.
Sure, happy to. So my name is Natalie Nunez Gomez. I'm the head of Global Medical Affairs for Psoriasis at UCB. And my background is I'm a physician, a medical doctor, and I've worked in the Dermatology University of Munich here in Germany. But now I'm more than 20 years in the pharmaceutical industry and right now working for UCB.
Now, I mentioned that you're joining us to talk about some long-term data from the BBright trial. What was the goal of the BBright trial?
Yes, sure. So let me explain what BBright is. It's an open-label extension study assessing the long-term safety and efficacy of Bimekizumab in adult patients with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. And so those patients who completed one of our phase 3 trials, which would be the feeder trials for BBright, were able to enroll in this long-term trial.
What causes psoriasis? Who's affected?
The cause of psoriasis is not really known. It's a mixture of genetical factors plus environmental factors. What we know is that several cytokines play a role, especially IL-17, so interleukin. This is what is known, for example, but the exact cause is not really known.
Well, give us a little bit of more insight into these trials that were presented at the 2021 AAD and the summer meeting and the EADV, if you would.
Yeah, sure. So, as you know, the EADV conference is currently ongoing, and it's actually a very, very exciting conference and a lot of new data presented there. So, coming to our BBright trial, what we are showing is that 2-year data from the BBright trial. So we are looking at the BSURE trial population, which was one of our feeder studies. And we showed that the clinical and health-related quality of life responses, which we observed during the first 16 weeks of treatment with Bimekizumab, were sustained over 2 years. And I think another very important data point we are presenting from BBright is our safety data. So we are showing 2-year safety data from BBright, and we saw that Bimekizumab was well tolerated and there were no new safety signals observed over 2 years.
Were there traditionally many challenges for treating patients with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis?
Yes, sure. So I think one thing which is very important is that psoriasis is a chronic disease. And so it's very important for physicians as well as patients that you have treatment options that can offer long-term disease control. And this is one of the challenges we have.
So are we talking an oral or an injection periodically?
Bimekizumab is an injection. I think what is important to say that it's not yet approved in the US. It's currently under review with FDA. But if we talk about the mode of action, it's a humanized IgG1 monoclonal antibody, and it belongs to a group of medicines called interleukin inhibitors. And what is important to know is that in psoriasis, we have elevated levels of IL-17A as well as IL-17F. And also actually in other immune-mediated inflammatory diseases. So Bimekizumab is specifically and directly inhibiting IL-17F in addition to A, and this is a novel mode of action.
Does Bimekizumab work only on the skin, or does it treat the psoriatic arthritis symptoms as well?
So we have trials currently ongoing, phase 3 trials in psoriatic arthritis, but the results are not yet available.
What about the candidates in the trial where there's a wide variety of ages, men and women? Who was in the trial?
It was a typical psoriasis patient population, I would say. So it's more or less half men, half women. It's a long-term disease, so most of these patients have long-lasting disease. And many of them were already pre-treated with other treatments.
Doctor, explain some of the results of this BBright trial, if you would.
Yeah, I think one important aspect we are presenting at EADV is the 2-year data from the BSURE study, which was one of the feeder studies of the BBright trial. And in this abstract and poster, we are showing that the clinical and health-related quality of life responses, which we observed during the first 16 weeks of the trial, were sustained over 2 years of treatment with Bimekizumab. And we also presented 2-year safety data from the BBright study, showing that Bimekizumab was overall very well tolerated and no new safety signals were observed over the period of 2 years.
So is this trial about to be completed?
So if we look at the whole BBright study, it's a 3-year study. And these are interim results after the first year of BBright. And so if we put this together with the feeder studies, we are looking at an observational period of 2 years right now. If we look at the complete BBright study, it's 3 years plus 1 year feeder study, so an observational period of 4 years. And we expect to complete the trial in 2023.
So what do you think will be the overall impact on the psoriasis community once this is approved in the United States?
Yeah, so I think one important thing is always the high or the unmet need if we talk about new treatments in moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. And one unmet need is skin clearance. So, I mean, there are already a lot of treatments available, but what we know is that still many patients do not achieve skin clearance with those treatments. And I think if you think about the importance of skin clearance, so it's there's data out there that it improves your quality of life, and also those patients suffer from less symptoms. I think this is something important to look at. And what we have seen from our trials is that Bimekizumab is able to provide skin clearance to the majority of patients. So I think that's very important.
Now, when we're talking skin clearance, are we talking total clearance for someone with moderate, significant clearance for someone with severe plaque psoriasis? Or does it vary greatly from patient to patient?
It varies from patient to patient, so you cannot speak for every patient. I mean, but if you look at our trial results, we can say, and we were looking at a patient population with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, so you have patients with different severity levels in there. And what we saw is that the majority of these patients were able to achieve complete skin clearance, which would be a PASI 100.
Well, give us a website where our listeners can learn more.
Yes, I would direct you to the UCB US website, where you can find all the latest news and information.
And that website would be www.ucb-usa.com. Dr. Gomez, I appreciate you joining us here on Health Professional Radio. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure for me. Thank you so much as well.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Dr. Natalie Nunez Gomez. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download at SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/healthprofessionalradio.